now. So Gerald, did you have anything to bring up? Did I miss
My
anything?
wife, 52 years, is supposed to be here later. I hope. She told me maybe.
Uh-oh. She wasn't bringing food, was she?
No, I brought the food.
Okay. Important now, never mind. All right. Anyway, Wig Stands, as I think we've talked before, the Merit Health in South Jackson has a cancer boutique where they give wigs and other items, and we've got a little short slide. Oh, he's got it going right now. This is some pictures they sent us, and one of these fine ladies is going to come talk to us in a bit. But they give stuff away in that boutique. They don't sell it. That's actually for their cancer patients, and they donate it to them. So what we wanted to do this year is make the wig stands for the cancer patients. I got this idea from the Lighthouse Woodturners. They do it down there. They've got an organization they donate to, and they make a bunch of them and donate. So I started looking around here, and that's the one I found. If anybody knows of other organizations that can use these, please let us know. Call me, email me, text, whatever. Because based on what they told us when we visited them, we're going to have plenty of them for this group. We'll see how fast they go through them, but I think we could probably provide some to another organization if there's others that need it. And I'll keep looking around here. I think there's got to be somebody that would use these. But again, they're all donated to the patients in need, and that's why I chose this organization, is we wanted to give back to the community. So that's what we're doing. These can be easily made from, this is a piece of a 2x8. You can use 2x6, 2x4. The dimensions are not critical. I have some handouts if anybody is interested. This actually came through the Lighthouse Woodturners newsletter. They had it attached. It was a PDF to it. It gives some basic dimensions. But what I really liked, and the reason I really brought it is because I'm not much of a designer, is they have some great ideas for spindles. So I can copy stuff better than I can come up with designs. So that's what I'm going to do with this. So anybody wants these, you're welcome to take them. I'm just going to put them up here on the front row for now. If we run out, I can email them to you. So if you prefer that, just let me know. I also have, Gerald and I also made up a bunch of blanks. So we've got basically 2 boxes of kits, if you will, for doing this that you're welcome to take. And if anybody needs more, just let us know. We'll be happy to do it. This was a piece of 2x8 that I have had for a long time, so I don't know how old this wood is, so it's plenty dry. This is a, excuse me, is also a piece of it. So I took 1.5 inches off one side to make it square, and then cut these other 2 pieces out of that. Some of these, the top's maybe a little bit smaller. The base is about the same size, about 5.5 inches. And this was out of a 2x6. So, and then I took a piece of 2x4 and ran it through my bandsaw just to square them up for the spindles. Some are a little bit longer, some are a little bit shorter, but please take them. You're welcome to them. And any that you make, please bring next month. One of the things and I'll go ahead and talk about it now before I forget, is finishing. It does need some type of a finish on there. This right now is just shellac is all that's on there now, but I'm going to put a wipe-on poly on it because a lot of times they will wash their wigs and then hang them on here to dry. So you want something that's going to seal the wood so they don't get wet and start getting nasty and rotten. As part of the design, little recessed area here, you don't have to do that, but you can. For any jewelry, if they want to put their jewelry, earrings or rings or whatever when they take off, you know, on their, wherever they keep this, in their bathroom counter or a dressing table or whatever. So just some ideas. Shape and style and size is really all up to you. There's nothing specific. So wood type, whatever you want. If you have hardwoods that you want to use, that's fine. The common hardware or common lumber from Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever, it works. It is a challenge, as you'll see when I'm doing this, trying to turn pine. It's actually very good practice. It'll make you improve your wood turning skills. But another nice thing about this is it does sand out any tear out or anything because it's so soft. You can sand it pretty quick and get it looking nice. So if I can remember my sequence here, if not, I'll start over. So this will be the top, and I didn't mark the top on that one. Yep, there it is. Just a little pinhole where I put the compass on there. Now, the way I get these round to start is I just do it with a friction fit against the chuck. One of my kids, I bet. Oh, Herman. Excuse me. Yes, Herman. Yeah. Yep, we're here. We're waiting for you. We're in the where we normally meet. Yeah. Oh, well, Buddy's here. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Bye. He went to your farm. Yeah, we get used to things, buddy. We changed it up, messed them up, so. It'd be quite a surprise when you went back and found the house full there, huh? Anyway, I just taken the center there and press this on there to hold it, just to start out getting this round. And I'll just start with a, excuse me, with a bowl gouge. Does that sound still okay? All right, so I'm just gonna, you can see it's not round. But the friction fit works really well on this. If you get a catch, it may slip a little bit, but this will be the bottom, and this will be the, no, excuse me, got that backwards. This will be the top, this will be, see, I got confused again. This will be the bottom, this will be the top, so this will be eventually have a hole in it for the shaft, for the spindle. So all I want to do right now is just get this round. So I got all the saw marks out. It is round. It's not real smooth, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to shape it, so I don't need to worry about the tear out here right now. And I'm going to take and make a tenon on this top end so I can mount it in the chuck. And this is just a little gauge I made. So I know that when it goes in there, it'll fit. And since that's going to be curved at the top for the dome up here, I'm going to put a tenon on here, and then it'll be turned away later, so it's not a big deal. This is just my parting tool. Take it down. It goes almost all the way down to the jaws. In fact, I'm going to have to close the jaws a little bit on this one. Give me a little more room to reduce that some more. So now I can take it off and put it in the chuck. And what I'm going to do now is face this off to get it flat, and then I'm going to turn a what's opposite of a tenon? Mortise on there, so I can turn it over and round the top. So all I want is this. I'm going to make it slightly concave. That's pretty good. Yep, there. I'm going to take my calipers. I'm going to mark for the recess there. I've written on here which each one means. So this is what I need for a minimum on a tenon, and that's the mortise, so that the jaws will fit inside of it. And I'm sure most of you guys have done this. Make sure this point does not hit, because it'll flip it back at you, which could be bad. Just clean it out enough to get a spindle gouge in there, a little bit smaller one. Use pine. Like I said, it turns super easy and cleans up pretty nice. So actually, I'm just going to scrape it a little bit just to smooth it up. And I'm going to take this corner off, just to hopefully not cut my hand on it. What I would do at home is I'd go ahead and sand that and get it smooth, so it would be ready for finish. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the recess for the spindle. Just a little trick that Gerald showed me when you're getting ready to drill. If you make a little indentation there in the center before you start drilling, it helps center the drill bit instead of it wandering and trying to follow the grain. So what I do is I just make a 3/4 inch hole. So just a Forstner bit. You can use whatever size you want. Again, this is just what I do, not any specific requirements. Turn the lathe down. And what I do, just easy measurement right there where the shaft ends and there's a little bit of recess. That's what I use for my depth gauge. I don't know what that measurement is, but it's just, I'm consistent. I know where, when I do the mortise to go into it for the shaft, for the spindle, that makes it deep enough and strong enough. So as you're hand drilling or drilling like this, always hold your chuck. And since I'm not going real deep and it's real soft, I don't need to worry about cleaning out the hole. But I take it down to that point there. And that's all there is for that side of it. So now I can turn it around. And remount it, and then I'll just round it over to whatever kind of shape I want. That. Just bring it on around. Probably a little bit flatter than that, so I'll just come back again. And I didn't go real deep with that hole, so I'm not worried about coming through on the top. But one thing to think about when you drill that hole in the back is do your recess first and then the depth of the hole. If you do the hole first and then do your recess for remounting it, then your depth of your hole isn't going to be the same. It's not too bad a finish. Still a little bit of tear out on the edge. You know, it's always one more cut, so that's when I mess up. Then I just take a scraper and kind of smooth up that surface a little bit. And this is a negative rake scraper. And again, because it's pine, it would sand real easy. Got a little bit there in the center. So I'm not gonna sand much. Too much dust in here, but I'll just work it through the grits. Just take it and make sure I get rid of that sharp edge right there. By the way, this is some of those, if you guys have been here, the sanding belts I've been bringing from my son that makes knives. There's a box back there with a few pieces in it, unless somebody's already got them. They're on the floor back there by the show and tell table. You're welcome to them. That was just from the last 3 or 4 days. So, because I'd given away all the others prior to that. So. No, I hadn't found one of those yet. So, there's the top. What I've been doing is, like I said, sand it down, sand the inside, turn it over, do the outside, sand it. And I just put which is what this has, that one had on it, is I've got a bottle of shellac and denatured alcohol where it's thinned. So I'll just wipe that on, turn the lathe on, and just do a kind of a friction polish on it. But like I said, I'm going to take it and put some wipe-on poly on there just because it'd be more waterproof. The shellac is not really waterproof. So that's all there is to the bottom. The top, or excuse me, that's the top. I'll get it right. The bottom is really the same process. I've got my center marked. I'm just going to bring the tailstock up. This will be, trying to think now. I guess it really doesn't matter. Lose my train of thought here, trying to remember which way I did it now. This will be the bottom, just like the other. Had to stop and think again. There's lots of ways to do this. You could use a screw, wood screw, to mount it on your lathe. So you could drill a hole, put a wood screw in there and do it, and then turn it over. I just like it this way. It's quick, it's easy. You know, you don't have to change out a lot of stuff. The chuck stays on there, and it just, like I said, makes it easy for me. So I'm going to just start by rounding it again. And a little bit more. Still have a little bit of a flat spot. Still a little tear out there, but that's okay. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn a tenon on what will be the top. This, again, just my parting tool. A little bit more. Tenon does not have to be real big. Put a little bit of a dovetail on this one. I didn't do that on the other piece. Okay, sure, no problem. That was a parting tool. And when you use a parting tool, it's just the point here. What I do is you come into the wood, you come in and you kind of go, you don't go straight in. It'll cut, but it's a scraping cut. If you bring it in this way, you're actually riding on that bevel and it's actually cutting the wood. You get a little bit more smoother finish. So you really ended up no tear out there doing that, but you just bring it in kind of at an arc into the wood. Same thing if you're parting off a piece, which is what it's made for.
So you make your tenon with a parting tool?
Usually I'll go back like I just did then, and I'll take one of my skews just because of the angle on it, just to get it, because I have dovetail jaws, because I have a Nova chuck. So I'll come back in and just scrape a little bit just to get a little bit of a dovetail on there. I know a lot of guys they have a special tool at the exact angle of the dovetails. I have never worried about that.
Misconception. Novas do not have dovetails except on expansion.
Oh, you're true.
They're not dovetails. There's duckbill on it.
Yeah, you're right.
100 millimeter does, but the smaller ones like the 50s on that one, it's not dovetail.
Okay.
The purpose of that little duckbill is it compresses the wood a little bit.
Yeah.
You're supposed to actually make a cut for that.
Yeah, there's actually a little bit of a lip right there. You can feel it. And he's right, and that's what I was going to say is as I tighten it down, especially on the pine, it compresses it. So when you put the wood in, don't hold out here and try to put it in. Put it in there, press in the center so that it gets square, because you want to make sure that this surface right here is flat. You want to make sure your tenon is not real long, because you don't want that tenon to bottom out in the bottom of the jaws. You actually want them bottom on this surface right here. So you bring it in and hold it with one finger there, and then bring the jaws down. And that's not a big dovetail, or excuse me, a big tenon there, but I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this. If this is a big piece, really hogging down on it, probably do a bigger dovetail on it. But all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to face this off. Again, this will be the bottom, and make a mortise in there, a recess for my jaws again, so I can turn it over and complete the top. So if you see these, you can see I've got a recess in there. A lot of wood turners don't want that showing, and that's fine. If you want to turn it over later and get rid of it, you can do that. These are being donated. Probably 99.9% of the people that are going to receive them are not wood turners. They won't know that's what that was for, top or bottom. So, and this one is not glued yet. Somebody asked me earlier if I glue them. Yes, I do glue them. I'll use wood glue, just some regular old wood glue when I get done to assemble them. That way they won't lose pieces, they won't come apart. And they won't, especially if you I tend to do a lot of times get my tenon too loose, my fit. So I'm going to go with a little bit larger tool rest just to make it easier to get to the center. So I'm just going to flatten the surface. Actually, I'm not going to flatten it. I'm going to make it a little concave. You always want it a little bit concave when any bottom of any bowl or vessel anyway, a little bit concave so it sits on that outer rim. It sits better on a table. Morning. I'm sorry, yes, it's a bowl gouge. And I'm going to take my dividers again, and it's like I did on the top piece, and mark where my tenon's going to go, my recess. And then I'm taking the parting tool again and bringing it in. Because this is flat, I can pretty much have to go flat in. I can't do like when I was doing the outer edge coming in. This will just pretty much come straight in. And then I just use it to clear out some wood. This is actually a spindle gouge. I don't have a small bowl gouge, so I just use this. But again, I'm just going to bring it in. Just make a little recess in there. Use my scraper again. And my skew, just make sure I have a good crisp clean edge there, and the bottom's perfectly flat for the jaws to sit on when I reverse it. Then I'm going to bring this down a little bit more, make it a little bit more concave. That actually came out pretty smooth. And I just have a ruler I lay across. I don't know if you can see that or not from the top. You can see it's a little bit of a gap in there. So it's going to sit on this outer edge. And then I'm going to take, again, and just round this corner a little bit with a scraper. Just so it's not such a sharp edge. And then I can turn it over and do the top side.
Is this the bottom?
This is the bottom.
Okay, don't you need to drill it?
No, the hole goes in the top. The top of the bottom.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was having to stop and think.
Mine, because it's in the bottom of the top.
You can see why I was getting confused, why I had to stop and think when I was telling you what to do there. So again, I'm just pushing on the center. And that's a pretty wide, the problem with the recess is as you expand those jaws in there, you can split the wood. But that is not near the edge. There's a lot of beef. I mean, it's probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches maybe in there. So there's a lot of surface area around, so it's not likely I'm going to split it, so I can tighten that pretty good. So now I'm just going to bring this up. I'm going to smooth this center part just a little bit and take it down a little bit. Again with the bowl gouge. It does not matter if this is the same height as this or not. This is a little bit higher, a little bit proud of it. So when this is, you can see this one perhaps, that's a little bit taller because of the way I did it. You can make it flat if you want. It doesn't matter. You could use actually a deeper piece if you wanted to come make this deeper. You can use bigger base, whatever you guys want. Another thing is you could kind of turn this in a curve on the outside, more like a bowl, and then dish it out. You know, the possibilities are endless. In fact, I'll pass around one of these sheets. Excuse me. And if you look on the front there, there's some pictures of some they made. So you're welcome. Again, I have what we have 10 copies. Yes, Rory.
Do you want the top and bottom to match from the single, or want to glue it all together, or?
Once I'm done, I'll glue everything together. So,
And we can put this PDF on the website too.
yeah.
Haven't done it yet.
Do you have it? Okay, I can email it to you. Yeah, Roy, I glue everything together. That way they don't fall. Like a lot of times I get my tenons too loose, and they're going to pick it up and it's going to fall apart. So I glue it. But it doesn't have to be, I guess. It's just the way I do it. Any other questions? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center with you know what I forgot? I'm going to turn this back around just a minute because I forgot I was going to show you guys what I do. Still got enough on there to grip that because I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on it. All I'm going to do is I have a point tool, and you can do it with a point tool, you can do it with a tip of a skew, but this is just, it's somebody made that. I got it at a estate sale. It's like what do they call the lathe tools, the bits that they shape for a metal lathe, high-speed steel that is glued into the shaft just to a point. I'm just going to put some grooves in the bottom just for decoration, like these, just something to add a little bit to it. You can't really use a texturing tool on this pine. It tears out too much. But I'm just going to bring it in and do sorry about that. So it's just a little bit of decoration on there. Where you want it, Gerald? I don't know if you can see it on there or not. It's concave. You can see. Again, that makes it sit better on the table. Now, one of these, I think it was this base here, actually warped a little bit after I turned it, even though it's older piece of wood, just relieving the stress because I set it down on the table afterwards and it rocked a little bit. So I was able to take it apart because I didn't glue it yet, just got a dowel that would fit in there, brought up the tailstock, and then just shaved it back down a little bit. So that's another reason not to glue everything right away. Let it sit for a few days in the stress, and it will change. But anyway, that's just a little bit of decoration in the bottom that just makes it a little bit nicer.
Chairmaker's trick, you could put a sheet of sandpaper down on your table saw and rub it. And you don't have to put it back on the lathe. If you already glued it back together, it's
Yeah.
easy way to do it.
I thought about that, but I tend to rock when I do it. So, but like I said, I didn't have it glued together yet, so I was able to just put it on a dowel that I put in my chuck and that dowel, and it worked out just fine. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark the center again. Just give that Forstner bit point a place to center. And again, I'll use that mark there to bring it down to where I want it. Though if you haven't used drill bits in this, like especially a Forstner bit, I've got it set about 500 RPM. You don't want it real fast.
Not a point here, but if you're boring with Forstner, deep hole, you need to back it out occasionally, about usually every 5 to 6 turns to clear the chips and clean the bit.
Yeah. But again, I'm only going that deep, so it wasn't a need. But yeah, definitely, especially hardwoods and stuff, it'll get gummed up in there and clogged up. So now I'm just gonna turn the outside here to get a little bit smoother now that I've got it, because you can see it's a little bit out around again because I flipped it around. And again, like on this one, I kind of rounded it in and put some burn lines on it just for decoration. This one, I did a straight side with a little bit of concave. It's whatever you guys want. You know, there is no set design. So on this one, I think I'll probably do like this. I'll bring it in a little bit. Okay. And then I like using the square scraper on the outside, just kind of ease the, you see I've got like a ridge right there, and this just kind of helps take it away. If you use a round nose, it actually doesn't work that well on the outside of a curve, because I can just come in here and just kind of bring it around. All right, so that would be good to start sanding now on that. Now the challenge is to turn the dish part of it. How are we doing on time? 10:30, we're good. I see the food did arrive. Tim somewhere. I saw him, didn't I? Yeah. There he is. Hey, Mr. Tim.
Hey, President.
How you doing today?
I'm fine. How's everybody? Everybody looking good?
Yeah.
Y'all look as good as I feel. How long you gonna be so I'm kind of tired?
I'll probably be another 45 minutes or so by the time I turn the spindle, and then Gerald's going to do a top. So shoot for probably, yeah, what, about 11:30, 11:45, somewhere around there?
Yeah, about lunch 30,
Yeah.
yeah. See you, Mr. Golden.
So just going to start coming in a little bit. Just kind of playing it by ear here. That thumping sound you hear, I believe, is a knot. Yeah, there's a knot right there. So that's what you're hearing, is it hitting that knot. So now I'm going to take the bowl gouge and I'm going to come back the other way to dish this out. On the center, I'm going to leave a little bit of a flat there for the spindle to sit on. And this is where I don't do so well, is trying to get that bottom smooth. So I just kind of work back and forth to get it where I want it down. So there's some ridges in there, but trusty scraper works. You hear it hitting that knot in there. That's still fairly thick there, which I can go down more, but you still want some weight on that base for when they put the wig on there. You don't want it tipping over. That's why you want it a little bit bigger. And then this edge here is a little sharper than I want, so I'm just going to scrape it, make it a little bit rounded over.
Something Phil told me is just because your spindles that we cut are like 12 inches, you don't have to make it 12 inches tall. They have different size wigs, so they're not all that long. If you want to make it shorter, then you can on spindles.
All right. So, any questions? That's the base. Again, when I get home, I'll remount this. I'll sand it so it's a little bit smoother. So now, the one I'm not so good at is I'm going to try to turn a spindle. Most of it. You know, and that's funny because we took that skew class. I could take it again and still be hurt. No, with the skew, I can get it smooth. It's when I start trying to do beads or anything, that wood reaches out and grabs it. I've got.
Speaking of the skew, I sent a tagged mat on the videos that I sent out. If you pay for either the demo or the hands-on, you got a link. And later on, I'll make it public. But right now, it's just for those who paid for the videos we made with Matt. But he sent back that his price list will be coming out real soon on his tools. And Tim found out the skew is over $200. So.
Yeah. Not sure he'll sell many of them at that rate, but anyway. I've got a steb center, which I like because it'll fit in the chuck. There we go. It's got a shoulder right here that will, I can put it in there and bring it up to it and tighten that down. And that way I don't have to take my chuck off if I don't want to. And on the tailstock, I've got what's that called, a cone center? live center. It's got the ring around it. Oh, there it is. What's that? Yeah, because once you put this on there and you turn it down, it gets kind of small, and there's just a regular point could split the wood. So the ring around there helps. I mean, if that's all you have, that's what you use. But this kind of it embeds in the wood and keeps it from splitting out. So it's not as likely to split the wood when you're doing a small spindle like this. So I'm just going to mark the center real quick. I don't know how you guys do it, but I never seem to cut things completely square, so I go around all four corners. And you can see a couple of the lines, there's a little bit of a gap there. So that's why it gets a little better center, because then I just bring it in and I've got this fancy Harbor Freight punch there. If you're really good, you like the professionals, you just guess at the center and put it on there with a lathe running. I'm not that guy.
Actually, I think Close's idea of, and I'd have to put it on camera to show it. I thought that was pretty neat. Square in the center, coming from all sides.
Yeah. Oh,
So he does a little box.
yeah.
You don't have, I like the center frame like that.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start rounding it from the tailstock end, and I'm not going to go all the way down yet. I want to keep as much of the stock as I can here so that when I'm working on this end, it doesn't start vibrating as much. So I've got that locked in. So here you go, Kevin. And by the way, this is a skew that Matt Monaco did not like because it's curved. I bought it years ago. I didn't know any better. I'm used to it now. It works for me. So use what you got. The tool rest is almost even with the live center there, so it's pretty high. So that's all I'm going to round it right now. And bring us down now, and I'm going to cut it the tenon. And excuse me, that was a 3/4 inch hole. Just to get a rough idea of the size, this is a 3/4 inch open end wrench. So it will give you a good idea. So as I get close, till it slides over, and that gives me a general idea of the size. I'd happen to know that one's a little bit big.
You could take your wrench, put it on your grinder, sharpen one edge of it.
Yeah, I've done that with a 1/4 inch I use for some stuff, but that's out of my regular toolbox. I don't want to. True, yeah. So now is where you get your starting your test fits. What's that? Yeah. So it's still, like I said, it's a little bit big. So you end up taking this on and off a few times to get a good fit on there. And this is just an old skew. It was actually my dad's. So it's an old Craftsman, but it works pretty well. And it's at an angle, but it's straight across versus the way Matt showed us to sharpen them, which is at a curve. So I prefer this one for this. So just taking it down a little bit at a time. There we go. Actually, almost too much. It fits, but it would, again, that one would fall off. So now that I got that one, put that back on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shoulder down here, concave. I'm going to take it in so that the outer edge sits around here so you don't end up any gaps. If you hit perfectly flat, though this is concave here, but I just do that out of habit. I just bring it in just a little bit. Now I'm going to use the point of the skew. Just come here right on the edge, hopefully. And just bring it in very slightly. I'm going to take this down a little bit more. You found us. You know? Oh, geez. Some kids out playing, huh? I'm going to make a bead on this end. This is going to be the top, if I didn't say that. So I'm going to come out about 3/8 of an inch. And mark it 3/8 and then halfway for the center of my bead. And this is my spindle gouge. I'm not going to try it with the skew because I know I'll mess it up. Bring it down a little bit more. So I just took it from the center line around. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to do a little bit of a V groove here with the skew, just to give it a little bit of a relief there. Almost caught. And then I'm going to use my skew as a scraper. Just to round that off some more. And I'm going to do roughly that shape on this one. I say roughly because I'm not good at repeating patterns. So I'm going to start somewhere right around in here, taking it down to that bead. Bring it down a little bit more. Probably pretty good. Now I'm going to come back and start rounding this end a little bit more. That's probably pretty good. And come down. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to round this, and then I'm going to put the tenon on the bottom. Bring my tool rest back up some, make it a little easier. It looks smoother than it is, but the grain, you can feel the ripples from the growth rings and stuff in there a little bit, but it would sand up nice. And if it's not perfectly smooth, you know, when you're going around, that's fine, as long as you got a nice curve, nice finish there. So I'm going to bring this down again. You can also do this with calipers. I mean, there's lots of ways to cut your tenons, but being a standard size like this, I knew that wrench would fit and be real close to the right size. So now I'm going to check it in the bottom. Any questions? And a little bit more. No, there we go. Let's see how we're doing. There we go. End up with a pretty good fit there. So now I can go ahead and finish. Turning the spindle there. Yep, there we go. And just to get them fairly close to the same size. Get my calipers. Again, I could have used these on the mortar or the tenon there also. So you can see it's got to come down quite a bit. Good morning. How are you? Good. Close enough. So I'll go ahead and mark this one like I did the other end, doing 3/8 of an inch. I am making a wig stand. We're doing a service project this year for the Merit Health Cancer Boutique, and for them to donate to their cancer patients for their, if they need wigs. So many, when they get their chemo and stuff, lose their hair. So, by the way, this is Miss Ruth Catledge and Jean. Thank you. Where's Ed? I always want brain dead. So Ed's wife and Miss Ruth's husband was a longtime member of the club. Bob Catledge, very great turner, did a lot of good stuff. Most of the wood that we have back there was donated by him to the club when he passed away. For us to use as we see fit. So that's a lot of stuff we use in raffles and stuff to help fund the club. So we're excited you're here, Miss Ruth. We're glad to have you. Most certainly.
I can thank everybody that was at my house, but I want to thank everybody for all the help that the woodworkers gave me cleaning out my shop. And he had a lot of stuff.
That was an understatement.
I appreciate it. I would never have done it without them, and they worked so faithful. And I appreciate you wives sparing your husbands to come and help me.
It wasn't enough for Bob to have a shop full. He had an attic full and an outbuilding full.
Well, he was a good wood turner, then. Yeah. It's all part of it.
Our speaker is on our way. So excuse me just a second here. So, yes, well, we're happy to help. We all may end up in that situation sometime, so we're kind of paying it forward. But it was very nice. He was very gracious to donate all that wood to us, and was a valued club member, so we really appreciate it. So, all right, so I've got the bottom bead marked. So I'm just going to again cut a little groove here. And do this bottom bead. Yep. I forgot, I'm going to bring in this recess on the bottom, this edge right here. Just so it sits flat on the base. All right, now I can start bringing down the rest of this. Just thinning that out a little bit at the top, make it look a little nicer. Let's clean that up a little bit. All right, I'm just going to put a little bit of a groove right there. Clean that one up a little bit more. And another little groove right there. And then I'm just going to burn a couple of lines on there. Probably not the best proportions on that. There we go. It's a piece of, I think it's 40 thousandths. Call it safety wire. I got it at Harbor Freight with just a dowel with a little groove in it, and then the wire twisted there. So just friction burn the lines. Same as I did, on these. Again, whatever you guys want to do for designs, it's up to you. You don't have to burn lines. You can burn more lines. You can do them on the outer edge like I did on that one. It's whatever you would like to do. So this should be a little bit of a lip there, but not too much. So there we go. Yeah, any questions?